All right, Bills fans, gather around, because this one's got a lot to unpack. We're coming off a statement win, a game that had moments of pure domination and others that left everyone scratching their heads a little, especially when it comes to the passing offense. You look at the final score and it feels great, but you can't help noticing that something just wasn't fully in sync through the air. Josh Allen went 12 of 19 for 163 yards and 1 touchdown. The numbers don't look terrible. His EPA per dropback was one of the top 10 in the league for the week, but anyone who watched could tell something was off. It wasn't the kind of clean, confident control performance we've gotten used to seeing from him. It felt like the rhythm was missing, like the offense was searching for balance and never quite found it through the pass. Josh's average depth of target was barely over 5 yards, one of the lowest marks you'll see from him. Almost 3/4 of his passing yardage came after the catch, which tells you most of the work was done by the receivers once they had the ball in their hands. That short game worked in spots, but there was very little happening downfield, and it looked like Josh wasn't fully comfortable letting it rip. His accuracy numbers back that up. Roughly 1 in every 5 throws missed the target. Now, to be fair, several big-name quarterbacks around the league had similar issues this week. Baker Mayfield, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, so it's not some shocking collapse. Still, when it's Josh Allen, you notice it more, because the standard he's set is sky high. When you go back and watch the tape, it becomes clear this wasn't about what the defense was doing. The Panthers weren't confusing him with exotic looks or heavy blitz packages. This wasn't one of those games where the defensive structure dictated the struggle. No, this was more about Josh himself not quite executing the passing game the way he usually does. It felt like there was a mental and mechanical disconnect. Footwork, timing, trust, all just a half beat off. You could even hear it in his post-game comments. He said flat out that he wasn't trusting his feet, that he was forcing a few throws, getting off his reads too early, and just not getting into rhythm. And that word, trust, came up over and over again. Trust in his feet, trust in his progressions, trust in his receivers. You could almost feel the frustration in the way he kept repeating it. And then you hear offensive coordinator Joe Brady talk about it, and he put things into perspective. He said, look, when you run for 240 yards as a team, the passing game isn't going to be the focus. They didn't need to air it out, and sometimes that lack of volume can make an offense look out of rhythm. He wasn't concerned. He pointed back to games earlier in the season, like Baltimore, where the passing attack clicked just fine when it was needed. But that doesn't change the fact that in this one, it looked out of sync. Josh himself admitted it wasn't about the defense or play calling. It was him needing to settle down, needing to trust what he saw and let the game come to him. It's not an easy thing to talk about, because nobody wants to criticize Josh Allen. The guy's a superstar, a top-tier quarterback, and one of the main reasons the Bills are a legitimate contender year after year. But even the best have off days. The difference is that when Josh struggles, it's usually not about effort or preparation. It's about impressing, trying to make a big play when patience might be the better option. You could see some of that in this game, moments where the pocket was clean, but he bailed early. Reads that were open, but he came off them too soon. That's not panic. That's eagerness. It's that I got to make something happen mentality that makes him great, but sometimes gets in the way. And you can tell he's aware of it. He even said after the game that it might have been the excitement of getting back on the field after the bye week. That makes sense. You've got a guy wired to compete at the highest level, watching the rest of the league get attention. Mahomes, Mayfield, Stafford, all those names being tossed around. And he wants to remind everyone who the real alpha is. But the irony is the more you chase that big moment, the harder it gets to find it. Sometimes you just have to execute the offense and let the game flow naturally. That's the version of Josh Allen we usually see. Decisive, confident, letting his talent do the talking. And that's the version we'll see again soon. If there's one thing to take from all this, it's that the passing offense isn't broken. It just hit a momentary dip, and it happens. It's not a system issue, it's not a chemistry issue, and it's not a defensive blueprint being exposed. It's just execution. One of those days where timing and comfort didn't line up. Every quarterback goes through stretches like that, even the elite ones. And if we're being real, Josh's dip last season was rougher than what we just saw, and he bounced back from that just fine. This is October football. You want to iron these things out now, not in January. The bigger picture here is that while everyone is dissecting the passing struggles, the Bills quietly ran for almost 250 yards and played lockdown defense. That's the kind of complementary football that wins championships. The offense doesn't have to be perfect every week. It just has to be balanced, adaptable, and ready to shift gears when needed. And that's what they did. You could see it in the way the game unfolded. When the air attack sputtered, the ground game took over, and it was absolutely dominant. That balance is exactly what the Bills have been missing in past years when everything depended on Josh's arm. And let's be real, it's not like Josh Allen forgot how to throw. He's still the guy who shredded Baltimore for over 400 yards just a few weeks ago. He's still the quarterback Tony Romo called one of the most mentally advanced players in football, the guy who's reached that level where defenses just can't trick him. That hasn't changed. What we saw was just a human game from a player who's usually superhuman. The footwork will get cleaned up. The rhythm will come back. You don't suddenly lose that edge overnight. But it does show something about where this team is, that they can win even when the passing game isn't firing on all cylinders. That's growth. That's maturity. That's a sign of a team figuring out how to win in multiple ways. It's also worth mentioning that Josh hinted at the possibility of needing to build a little more trust in his receivers. That's natural. When you've got new pieces, different alignments, and evolving roles in the passing structure, timing takes a while to perfect. He's heavily involved in shaping the weekly game plan, so it's not a matter of him not liking the play calls. It's more about rhythm and confidence in what he's seeing downfield. That'll come, especially if the team adds another receiving option to stretch defenses and punish all that man coverage they've been facing. Because make no mistake, defenses know what happens when Josh gets comfortable. It's lights out. For now, though, you take the positives. The team ran the ball with authority, controlled the tempo, and showed that they can adapt. If the only thing you're worrying about after a blowout win is that your MVP quarterback didn't look perfect in the passing game, you're in a pretty good spot. Give it a week or two, and I bet we'll see Josh back in rhythm, throwing lasers downfield and making highlight reels look easy again. He's that kind of player, one who learns, adjusts, and bounces back stronger. And the way this offense is built, with a run game that's finally clicking and a defense that's finding its groove, the ceiling for this team remains sky high. The passing offense will get there, and when it does, it's going to be dangerous. Now let's talk about that rushing attack, because my goodness, that was something special. The Bills lined up, imposed their will, and flat out owned the line of scrimmage. 35 rushing attempts, 245 yards, and 4 touchdowns on the ground. That is not just a good day. That's a statement. And leading the charge was James Cook, who had himself a day that will live in the stat books for a long time. 19 carries for 216 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's over 11 yards per carry. And he joined a ridiculously short list of players in NFL history to put up more than 215 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns on fewer than 20 carries. That's efficiency at its finest. But it wasn't just the numbers. It was the way he ran, the patience, the vision, the burst, the physicality. It felt like everything clicked for him and the offensive line all at once. The blocking in this game was art. From start to finish, it looked like a group completely in sync, playing with timing and confidence. You could see it in how they sealed the edges, climbed to the second level, and controlled the backside pursuit. David Edwards and Connor McGovern were bulldozers in the trenches. Jackson Haw, the rookie tight end, looked like a seasoned veteran, locking defenders down with perfect hand placement and leverage. Reggie Gilliam was clearing paths like a wrecking ball, and even the receivers were getting involved, sprinting across the field to make backside blocks. When an offense has that kind of effort from every position group, it becomes contagious. Everyone takes pride in it, and that's exactly what happened here. It was 11 players taking it personally, determined to dominate on the ground. What really stood out was how the Bills committed to their under-center run game. Roughly 85% of James Cook's carries came from those formations, and you could feel the rhythm that created. When the quarterback lines up under center, it gives the running back that natural runway toward the line of scrimmage. It forces the defense to hesitate for just a split second, and that's often all you need to win the battle up front. From there, Cook was able to press the line, make one decisive cut, and explode through the hole. The toss plays were the bread and butter. They kept hitting the edges until Carolina's defense started overcommitting. And when they finally did, Cook adjusted perfectly, cutting back inside for that second long touchdown. That's what great runners do. They read the flow, feel the momentum of the defense, and use it against them. The zone blocking scheme was pure poetry in motion. The timing was perfect, the footwork crisp, and the communication seamless. There have been weeks where the run blocking timing looked off, linemen reaching too early for the second level before securing their first blocks, but not this time. Every combo block was executed with purpose. The backs had clean reads, and the holes developed exactly where they were supposed to. You could tell this was an offense that had studied the film, identified weaknesses, and built a game plan to attack them relentlessly. They didn't just run the ball to control the clock. They ran to dominate. It was old-school football with a modern rhythm, and it completely broke Carolina's will. James Cook deserves every bit of praise he's getting, but it's also important to note how he got there. 141 of his yards came before first contact. That tells you everything you need to know about how well this line played. The push up front was so consistent that he was hitting open space almost immediately. Once he reached the second level, it was over. The way he combined patience with explosion was textbook. He'd hesitate just enough to let his blocks develop, then accelerate through the crease with power. You could see the confidence building with every carry. It's like once he realized the defense couldn't stop him, he started running with even more attitude, lowering his shoulder, finishing runs, setting the tone for the entire offense. And let's not overlook Reggie Gilliam's impact as the lead blocker. His role often flies under the radar, but in this game, it was massive. He was meeting linebackers in the hole and winning those collisions consistently. That's what allows a running back like Cook to get those extra 5, 10, 15 yards. And behind that effort was a sense of cohesion that we haven't always seen from this unit. Every run looked like it had purpose. The backside blocks, the cutback lanes, the angles, all of it was deliberate. That's what you get when an offensive line and a running back are in total sync. It's a beautiful thing, and Bills fans have been waiting to see that kind of performance for a long time. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. Whispers are turning into a roar in Buffalo, and the NFL world is buzzing after what insiders are calling a game-changing moment in the Bills' locker room. Sources close to the team say that running back James Cook made an unprecedented request during Wednesday's practice. He wanted the ball on fourth down. Yes, you read that correctly. The same fourth down that typically carries the weight of coaches' nerves and fans' anxiety. The story goes that Cook, quietly confident in his abilities, approached head coach Sean McDermott with a direct appeal. "Let me have the ball." According to our sources, McDermott paused, glanced at his playbook, then, in what some are calling a jaw-dropping move, changed the call on the spot. Witnesses say the energy in the huddle shifted instantly. Players reportedly began exchanging glances, some in disbelief, others in excitement, as if a spark had ignited a fuse that had been quietly simmering all season. The implications are enormous. James Cook has been steadily carving out his role behind the Bills' star-studded offense, but few expected him to assert himself so boldly in a high-pressure scenario. One insider told us, Cook has always had this quiet confidence, but asking for the ball on fourth down? That's a whole new level. It sent shockwaves through the team. Reactions have already started pouring in. Social media is alight with speculation. Will McDermott stick with this new approach, giving Cook a larger role in critical moments? Or was this just a one-off gesture, a glimpse of the running back's audacity that won't become standard strategy? Either way, analysts agree that this move has changed the narrative. Buffalo's offense, which has often been criticized for predictable play calling in clutch moments, suddenly feels unpredictable again. Inside sources hint that the locker room conversation didn't end there. Teammates reportedly rallied around Cook, cheering his assertiveness, And even some veterans admitted privately that the move gave them a new sense of momentum heading into the next game. Coaches, however, remained tight-lipped, fueling further speculation that something big may be brewing under the surface. For now, the league is watching. If Cook gets the nod again on 4th down, the Bills may have found a new weapon in their offensive arsenal. And if McDermott continues to trust him, Buffalo could be on the verge of rewriting what it means to be aggressive in the clutch. The question now is simple. Are we witnessing the rise of James Cook as a 4th down playmaker, or just a thrilling flash of audacity in a season that desperately needs one? That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.